Hey, 7th grade, welcome to your first geography screencast. Woo! Hey, in our study of the North African, Southwest Asian, and Central Asian region, which you can see here, we've now done some background reading on these three subregions, and I wanted to talk today a little bit about this essential question, which is, how have the natural resources in this area made them major figures in global events and global affairs? First, let's talk about what natural resources this region has. What are we looking at right here? What is this? Pause the video and write down what it is we're looking at right here and what it does. If you said oil platform and what it helps bring up from the ocean floor is oil, then you are correct. Now, we know that there are many other natural resources in these regions that we're studying. For example, phosphates, which is what you're looking at here. Phosphates are mineral salts, and the biggest use for these is used as fertilizers for farming around the world. But it's just, oil is such an important natural resource to this region, and it has such a strong effect on world affairs that it's impossible not to spend more time discussing it. Now, we know that there are some natural resources that they don't have, or at least they don't have a lot of. I shouldn't say that they don't have them, but there are large, dry, arid regions within North Africa and Southwest Asia and Central Asia. So they don't have a lot of fresh water. Now they are able to, in some of the countries, they are able to do something called desalinization. And what desalinization means is that because a lot of these countries have access to ocean water that's salty, they are actually able to go put that water through a process that takes the salt out of it. It's a very expensive process, but a lot of these countries have a lot of money from the oil. The second very important resource that they don't have a lot of is good soil for farming. They have some good soil around some of the major rivers in the area. We talked in class about alluvial plains, especially around the Nile River in Egypt and the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Southwest Asia. But outside of those areas, they just have a hard time growing a lot of the food that they need to feed their people. So, this makes me ask our original essential question. How have natural resources made this region a key player in world affairs? Pause the video and write down your answer to this question now. This brings us to OPEC. And what OPEC is an acronym, and it stands for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. So these are countries that export. That means send out all these different petroleum products. And you can see here that we have a lot of countries represented in OPEC in the areas where we are studying right now. We've got Libya, we've got Algeria, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran. But these aren't the only countries in OPEC. And what OPEC does, they influence the price of oil by raising or lowering the amount of oil available. For example, if the amount available goes down, the prices go up. This is called the law of supply and demand. If there's not a lot of something, and people want it, and we know that oil is such a valuable natural resource, then the price goes up. It's just like here in Puerto Vallarta. Let's imagine something else that supply and demand goes up and down. Let's imagine let's say beachfront property. In the very early days of Puerto Vallarta, luxury beachfront property was pretty rare. There weren't a lot of condominiums here at the time, so it was probably very expensive. A lot of people wanted to come here and live on the beach and have luxurious residences, but there weren't that many, so the prices went up. Now that there are more options for beachfront properties, the prices, though they're still quite high, have probably gone down just because there's so many choices. There have been so many luxury residences built on the beach. So back to OPEC. So OPEC does this with oil. They, because this is especially in the region we're studying, because this is the most important natural resource these countries have, they want to keep that oil price nice and high. So could they produce more oil than they currently are? Yes. Do they want to keep it at a level that keeps the price of oil high? Yes. So this is related to our essential question. Why are they a key player? Well, because these countries that we're studying control a large portion of the world's oil, and so they have a lot of influence. This matters. These countries have few resources. They have low levels of education in general, and this is one that they control. And the rest of the world really depends on these nations and the oil that they have as a natural resource. So I want to ask another question. What kinds of problems might arise because of this situation? That these countries have control of a large portion of the world's oil, and they have few other important resources. Pause the video and write down an answer, or answer. I bet you're thinking I'm going to give you the answer to this one, but I want you to do a little research on your own and bring it into class tomorrow. Again, the question, what problems might this cause? This goes back to our original essential question. How have natural resources made this region a key player in world affairs? Very often this can be a problem. Key player doesn't always necessarily mean a positive thing, depending on what country you are from. But look for answers to that question. What problems? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in class.